And we're back at Toledo Speedway in Toledo, Ohio for the running of the RC Cola 200 for the Hooters Cup late models. Roby Helm, Mark Bishardi, Joy Fair up in the booth, Brian Dreber, Fred Pump down in the pit area. We are under caution for a two-car tangle on the front straightaway, and let's take a look at the replay. There you see Scott Hansen in the 53 car as he gets tangled up with John Crow in car number 38. There you see Crow coming down. Looked like he might have gotten dumped from behind somehow on the front straightaway as he came flying off of there. And he collected Hansen, who was off the pace down on the inside.
Well, one of the cars, either the 21 or the 27, looked like he had his arm out the window waving that he was coming off the racetrack, and everything just kind of bottlenecked up behind him. I don't know what he was doing, whether he thought he had a tire going down, but he had his arm out waving. So Hansen saw it, Crow probably saw it, but somebody behind them didn't see it and knocked Crow out, from behind.
Well, let's go down to the pit area and see if we can sort it out.
Well, I'm standing down here with Scott Hansen, the driver of the 53 car. Scott, you're obviously okay, actually smiling, but your Hooters career is not off to a great start.
No, it's not. We had a little engine problem there, and I tried to get out of the way, and I really don't know what happened behind me. I thought I was in the pits, and all of a sudden I got hit from behind. So.
A little damage on the right side of the car. Actually, a lot of damage. Day's done for you?
Yeah, the motor's what originally started it, so I'm sure the damage ain't going to help anything.
Well, Scott Hansen will become a spectator here while they survey the damage on his race car. Day's over for Scott Hansen, but he'll be a very interested spectator to see what the rest of the Hooters Cup race looks like here today. Back to you guys.
Field forming up for the restart. They've been given the 1-to-go signal by starter Tony Boswell. And in setting the field, the number 11 car, Dennis Berry, the pole sitter, the Iceman champion. On the point, right behind him, Fred Campbell, car number 70, another Iceman driver, had a second-place finish last night at Columbus Motor Speedway. And the Hooters Cup point leader, Mike Garvey, in the third spot. Mario Goslin is running in the fourth spot. Field back under green as the top four cars pulling away from the field down the backstretch here at Toledo Speedway. And Joy Fair up here in the booth with Mark Bishardi and myself. And Joy, we saw something out here on the front straightaway that things happen fast at this speedway. It seems like that caution flag comes out, some of the field gets slowed down, some of it doesn't. So I imagine spotters are very important here.
Yes, very helpful. They average something in near 120 here, so things happen at 120 very fast.
It's hard to get a car slowed down going 120 miles an hour when the guys in front of you are running about half of that speed.
Certainly is. You'd want to watch Dave Kuhlman. We've raced with him many years. He's a very patient, very, very good runner and very patient, and keeps his tires to the end of the race. So I notice he's fifth now, fourth.
Right on the scoring loop, it looks like he's about fourth or fifth. So we'll get an update on that and see where he is running. And Joy Fair says that's one of the guys we're going to be watching here. And as you were saying, Joy, it's a long way to go. Just 61 laps in the books of a scheduled 200. So this one still has a long way to go. I think, are we going to pretty much, these drivers pace themselves maybe the first 3 quarters of the race?
Yes.
And then charge hard for the end?
Yes, if you don't, you use up you turn a motor here, we used to turn 8,200 all the time. So you need to be able to use the motor, but you want to save it for the end of the race, and including the tires.
So the drivers we're seeing up front may not necessarily be there at the end, but I'm sure that Dennis Berry and Fred Campbell, they know this track well. And Mike Garvey, he is originally from Michigan, but he told me yesterday that he had never seen this speedway before. He'd run a lot up at Berlin Speedway in Kalamazoo, but this is his first trip to Toledo Speedway.
This track's very totally, like when I was a kid, we went to West Palm Beach, and I was very impressed with it, where the apex of your corner was literally up almost touching the wall, whereas here it's kind of a circle turn rather than an apex at all.
Well, like you used to be the owner here at Toledo Speedway, Dick Anderson, who's second in the Hooter Cup point standings, he was like the mayor of West Palm Beach Speedway, won many track championships there, and that's why we're a little bit puzzled today as to Anderson having the problems that he's having with car number 92. Mark?
It is, and you just wonder what happened to the car. He's got some front end damage on the race car right now, but you also got Bobby Gill, who's falling back quite a bit. He said he was going to be patient, but I have never seen Bobby be this this kind of patient.
And let's go down to the pit area for an update.
Well, we're down in the pit area with John Crow. John, very disappointed.
Yeah, we didn't qualify. We qualified 14th, and it was a long race. We were just going to ride, try to ride it out. Came around the corner here and saw some smoke. I kind of lifted a little, and then the yellow just had come out. Kind of got in the back of me. It's just one of them deals, Tore our car up, we're done, but we'll get them next time.
So you're not going to try to get it back together and get back out there for some points?
The clip knocked the fuel pump off, so we're done.
Well, John Crow, the leading rookie in the Hooters Cup Series, calling it a day.
And a very rare DNF for John Crow, a very rare thing for him this season.
I don't think he's had any DNFs. We got Dickie Anderson down in the infield, sliding through turn 2.
Dick Anderson having a bad day today at Toledo Speedway, and you can see him through the windshield of the car. He's not enjoying this at all today.
No, he's not. And he was hoping to enjoy this. He thought, this is like New Smyrna. Hell, we'll have a good time.
Yeah, and as Joy Fair was saying, comparing this track to West Palm Beach, Dick Anderson, many-time champion there, so things just aren't working out right. I wonder if the turnaround of going from one racetrack to the other, they had very limited practice time today. And Joy, that's got to be an important thing in coming to a new racetrack. It may look like another racetrack that you may have driven on, but I'm sure it's got different characteristics in how you set up the car, and it doesn't take much as far as adjustments, especially on a track running as fast as this, to get out of sync.
Right. I think what little racing I've done in the South, the southern tracks are coarser. Maybe they use seashells, or they seem to be a coarser surface than the tracks up here. And here on this type surface, if you get a little loose, that develops very quickly into a big loose.
And Anderson has been in and out of the pit several times. He's got sheet metal damage on the right front corner of the Mopar Performance, Citrus, Chrysler, Plymouth, Dodge, Daytona. So I'm sure that Dick Anderson, we're used to seeing him running up front. It's very rare that we see him running back in the pack like this. But Joy, I know as many years as you've been racing, some days you eat the bear and some days the bear eats you.
That's the truth. It seems like the effort you put in it doesn't pay at all some nights.
And as close as the point standings are, I'm sure that Mike Garvey's crew has been on the radio with him just saying run your race, that the guys that are with you in the points, Anderson coming into this race just 2 points behind Garvey. Anderson's in the back, but the guy that Garvey's got to be concerned about for points is Mario Gosselin in the 10 car.
Right, and I think he's only 11 points behind, so that's no points at all when you still have 4 races left to go this season. We talked about some of the wrecks earlier and how quick they happen here. Rick Shepard made a statement to me earlier that kind of stuck in my mind, and John Crow is probably thinking that this is a fun racetrack to drive, but it's no fun for the car owners.
Right, each tire's up, and you turn the motor like I was mentioning, 82, 8,500, and they don't like that.
This track seems that you carry a lot of speed through the turns, Joy.
Yes, many tracks you run, you almost stop in a corner if they're that sharp, but here you're off the gas. I used to, when I would get older and tired, I would count, and you'd lift, and then I'd say, well, I'll see how many counts I can make before I should be back on the gas. And if you counted to 2, like 1, 2, you're late. In other words, literally, you'd say 1, and you better be on the throttle.
Another counting race car driver, Mark Bouchardi. Last night at Columbus Motor Speedway, Dick Anderson had trouble with the hood of his car. He was involved with a lap car. The hood bowed up on the race car. He said he couldn't see the corner, so he was counting 1, 2, 3, and then he would turn. So that's interesting that you would bring that up as well, that you count going through the corner when to pick up the throttle. So you say you roll the car through the corner, so brakes won't really be a big problem of running out of brakes.
No, here you all but don't brake. Just to hardly touch the brake pedal.
And there we're looking at Bobby Gill in car number 71, and we heard the report earlier in the pits that Bobby was just sitting back and kind of riding, staying in the top 10, and he's just dropped out of the top 10. Now he's running 11th, and I don't think he wants to be quite that far back in the pack, Mark.
No, he doesn't, but we still got pit stops coming, so that whole scenario could change. Right now, we've got quite a battle between Mike Garvey and Mario Gosselin and
looks like
Dave Kuhlman
and the 24 car. And That's a driver that Joy Fair said that we should be watching for. And indeed, he is running up in the pack. And there you see Jody Ridley, the 6-time All-Pro champion in car number 98, and he's running well back through the pack.
Right, he's having a tough year. He says he's still running on old equipment. Next year he's going to have some good stuff, and he's going to come back with an abandon.
Well, you talk about a lot of years of experience. There you see Jody Ridley, and right behind him is Dick Anderson in the 92 car. And I know Jody Ridley, he doesn't like running back in the middle of the pack because he's used to running up front.
He's used to running up front, but he's used to being able to save the car during the middle parts of the race, make a pit stop, adjust the car a little bit, and be back to the front. So he's not out of it yet.
In the longer distance races this year, it seems like we haven't talked very much about Jody Ridley early in the race, and this one isn't even half over yet. We're working lap number 83 right now, but it seems like you get about lap 125, lap 130, Jody Ridley starts coming up, and there he goes underneath the 46 car of Mike Hunter. So I think Jody Ridley, like Bobby Gill, is pacing himself as we're on lap 83. So I would say in probably about another 30 laps, we need to take a look at the leaderboard and see if Jody Ridley's moved up a little bit.
And the last 200 lapper we did, everybody pitted between 97 and about 105 that we're going to pit. Some of them waited till later, but the real moves were made at the halfway point.
Well, one thing about where Jody Ridley is running now, he had that strategy at Kinley, North Carolina at Southern National Speedway. And we've got trouble on the front straightaway as Nevin Jenkins spins the number 3 car down the front stretch. He's right behind the flag stand there on your screen. Did kind of a slow spin off of the 4th turn, but was able to gather it up, and nobody got into him as he went to the outside.
I saw that happen, and he got down in the grass down coming out of 4 and overcorrected the car, got down in the grass, slid, overcorrected, and was backwards in front of the leaders.
And you can see the left rear tire looks pretty scuffed up. It looks like he might have got into somebody down there.
He looks like right now he's motioning for a push truck. He may have stalled the race car.
So Nevin Jenkins out of Homosassa, Florida, in the Futronic Chevrolet Monte Carlo. Been running all season with the Hooters Cup Series and having some problems here at Toledo Speedway. And we are now under caution with lap number 86 up on the board. So we could maybe see some pit stops coming up, Mark Bishardi.
And I think we are. Bobby Gill's pulled up beside, Ronnie Sanders, Jody Ridley, we talked about him. All these guys are going to come in right now and take a chance on some new tires and try to work their way back up through the field.
Joy Fair, we are not quite at the halfway point yet. Do you think it might be too early to come in and take on tires?
Yes. I would wait because you need good tires. You'd like new tires for the last 20 laps. So the later you can wait now in the middle, because in the middle of the race, I always look at it, you're just biding time anyway. You don't want to go a lap down, of course.
But don't you think that with Bobby Gill, as fast as he was falling back, maybe now's the time that you can try to improve the car to keep from falling back further?
Perhaps.
There you see Jody Ridley. He has the Parkway Ford Thunderbird in the pits, 2 right side tires, a can of fuel, and he's away down pit road. Also in the pits, Bobby Gill in the 71 car. He's coming out behind Ridley. Right behind him, it'll be Ronnie Sanders in the 18 car. We saw Daryl Shelnut in the pits. He has some damage on the front end of his car. There you see the number 7 Naturally Fresh salad dressing car. Looks like he's modified that front end a little bit, Mark.
And he did that a little early in the race. We didn't have any caution, so he just must have run up underneath somebody because it didn't bring out a caution.
And a traffic jam on pit road as the field goes by, as the officials down on pit road, now they give them the go sign, so now the drivers will move out on the speedway. Daryl Shelnut, the Naturally Fresh salad dressing, Discount Auto Parts, Chevrolet Monte Carlo. And I know that Daryl Shelnut's going to be looking forward to going to DeSoto Speedway in Bradenton, Florida, coming up in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from yesterday, it'll be the RC Cola 2 or the RC Cola 200. That's right, at DeSoto Speedway in Bradenton. The Hooters Formula Cup cars will also be running twin 50s, and Daryl Shelnut's looking forward to going back there because that's where he won his Hooters Cup event so far this year, earlier in the year.
And he's also won on the DeSoto Thunder Series that they have down there.
We're going to take a quick break, Mark, and then we will be back with the restart here for the RC Cola 200 from Toledo Speedway in Toledo, Ohio. 89 laps in the books. We'll be back for the second half right after these messages.